All right. Welcome to the I Never Worry podcast, where we're talking about emotional intelligence with everyday people about everyday situation with your hosts, DB Bedford and Mr. John Howe.
What it do?
Yes. Also today we have in the studio our special guest, Ms. Latashia Holmes. What's going on, homegirl?
Hi, thanks for having me.
All right. And my good partner, Mr. Piper. What's happening, man?
What's good?
All right, man. Thank you guys for coming in. We're just going to go ahead and start to slide right into the conversation. I really appreciate you guys taking the time, to come hang out with us, because it's really important what we're doing here when it comes to emotional intelligence. And we want our audience to understand that this emotional intelligence is not just this thing, right? It's not something that we made up, that it's very applicable in our everyday lives. And so I'm going to start with you, Ms. Latashia. Like, what does emotional intelligence mean to you?
Well, emotional intelligence means to me that you're able to take control of your emotions and your feelings at the time of whatever situation that you may be going through. With me, I always say, this too shall pass. And most importantly, emotional intelligence is what we all need, especially in the world and times that we're living in, to just be able to take deep breaths and say, okay, let me think about what I need to say, what I need to do, and how I need to interact with people, because this world is crazy right now. So you definitely have to be aware of your feelings, your emotions, and your attitude. You got to take like the time to think about everything you do and say and apply it to your life in a positive way, because what you put out there is what you get back.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. Pipe, what about you, dog? What does emotional intelligence mean to you?
Well, I mean, I co-sign all of that, of course. And just, understanding, the origin of where the emotions are coming from, and knowing that, the human brain is not suited for 2018. We living like it's 100,000 years ago. We
Right.
living like, we ready to, if a bear pops out, we got to be able to run.
Right.
Emotion, the chemicals that flood our body when we see that bear in 2018, it's the same as seeing a PG&E bill. Somebody that might have disrespected you or something, you respond to it as if it's a life or death situation.
Yeah.
So just understanding where those chemicals are coming from, what the basis of those emotions are, and deciding whether or not to respond to them or to discard them or use them, and being able to do that, because emotions are good. As far as I'm concerned,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It might be fuel to get the job done. Like when you wanted to start this podcast, you used emotions to do it.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
came
sir.
up with a good intellectual outline, but you're not really going to always act on that outline unless you got some emotion behind it, push you out of the bed and push you to go to the store and research and get whatever parts you need. So I look at it as fuel to either be used or discarded.
And cuz like I really appreciate this, and like this is what I love about this podcast, what it is that we're doing here, because both of our guests today have two totally unique backgrounds and what got them sitting here in there, in these chairs. And I think it's important for everyone that's listening to know, as we talk to everyday people, that we're talking to two real people who have done real things and been through real things, and something that everyone can really attest to. So I think it's important to let everybody know that.
Absolutely. So, once you guys take a moment to tell us a little bit about yourselves so our audience can know who's in the studio.
Ladies first.
Always.
This is amazing. Well, my name is Latashia Holmes, and I'm a self-published author of the book Made You Look. And I actually wrote the book while I was incarcerated in prison almost 10 years ago. And emotional intelligence played a humongous part in that, because writing the book and my current situation that I was in evoked all type of emotions for me. I started off writing a book as journaling about my case, and then it turned into a book. And as I was released, emotional intelligence played a part again. I had to change the way I thought about life and the process that I was going to take to evolve in my life and the journey that I was headed forward. I had to change basically everything, all my habits, the people I hung around with, even my profession. I am a nurse. I have a nursing degree, but when I committed my crime, it didn't allow me to be a nurse any longer. So I had to rethink everything that consisted of the way I lived and the life I chose to live. So, yeah, that's who I am, and that's who I am today. And today I am an author.
Congratulations.
So
tell us about the
I'm
book.
excited about that. Thank you.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the book.
Oh, okay. Well, the book is called Made You Look, and it's about two twin sisters robbing a bank, and they're robbing banks using identity theft. And one of the sisters is heavily involved with one of the city's biggest drug dealers, and she doesn't realize that she's the side chick until she's too wrapped up into the relationship, and she's so far in it she doesn't even want to get out. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's a page turner. It's hot. um, I mean, everybody can actually relate to some parts of the book. It's something in there for everybody. Everybody done been through basically the same situation as the characters in my book, whether it being manipulated by a man, or being headstrong and want to do whatever you want, um, committing crimes, changing the way you think, just changing the terms of living in general. So yeah, the book is very interesting, and it's an exciting read, and I recommend it. Not just because I wrote it, but
sure.
it is a hot book.
I could dig it.
How did emotions play a part in when you putting that together? You talked about the history and transferring that energy from, being in prison and, struggling with your licensing and all that kind of stuff. How did that translate into putting it into the book?
Well, to me, I love to write. So when I was actually in a county, I was journaling about my case, and it evoked every emotion that I had, emotions that I never even tapped into before. Like some days I would feel great about writing. Some days I was like, I'm over it. Some days I was just like, no, you gotta keep going. But it made me realize that you could use those emotions and do something great with it, which I did, and it helped me to rethink about everything that I was doing. And writing a book was my outlet to get me through my time. And I don't know, but what I do know is emotions, it carry us through our day-to-day activities. So if you're not in tune with your emotions, you're not in tune with life in general. You just go day by day doing whatever. I knew when I woke up in the morning I had a book to complete.
Right.
And I knew I had to touch on these emotions to get it done. And that's what I did. So it actually pushed me into doing and completing this book, which I did. So yeah, it's very powerful once you tap into it.
And then let's go back. So let's go back to what emotionally charged you to even get on the crime spree in the first place. Like what was happening because that's a bold thing to be a woman talking about you running up in banks, or how was you doing it?
Yeah, I went in banks.
It's done now. That's keeping it real, right?
Honestly, this is my story.
I wouldn't even run up in the bank.
Right.
And I didn't do some case.
When people look at me, when people see me, I mean, the audience cannot see me, but when they see me, they would never even imagine that I went in banks or I committed any type of crime.
This before said it all, right?
But when it started very young, and honestly, I could say I was a ringleader. I kind of convinced other people to do it. It wasn't like anybody I was working for. Somebody had me do it. It wasn't a man. It was me. I just have a hustler's mentality, I suppose. But I started off doing petty crimes like stealing and stuff like that, and then it evolved to something bigger. And then when the credit card game came, I jumped right on in to the credit card games. And I really started getting started when I was in nursing school. Someone introduced me to identity theft. And I was in New York, the person that introduced me to it, and I bought the game to California. And I worked every single day as a nurse and committed crimes the remainder of the time. So I worked for 17 years as a nurse, but I was committing crimes and a lot of people never knew.
Right.
You know, but yeah.
Which is interesting because when we're talking about, one being in tune with our emotions and what drives us, I mean, to suit up, you know what I mean, and make that happen. Like, are we operating out of fear, right? Or are we operating out of
that was my question.
What
drove
you? What
was your drive? Like, nurse, you make good money as a nurse.
And that's the thing. It's weird because, like, I would go to work and see nurses, and we'd be talking. They'd be having conversations like how they struggling to do this, and everybody was like, "Well, Tasha, you have a nice bag," but they didn't know what I was doing, and I never looked at it like that either. I looked at them like, "How are you struggling?" But I'm not thinking I have other means and other resources of income coming in to help me to live this lavish lifestyle that I was living. But I never was fearful, ever. And that scared me once I thought about it. Like, I actually believed I was the person when I was that person.
So what was your motivation?
It was all really like materialistic gain. It wasn't that I needed the money. I didn't have a drug habit. I've never been on drugs. I was basically a spoiled kid, and I think a lot of that had to do with it. I was the only child until I was 17 years old, and my mother had this brat of a kid. So I was born spoiled. My mother is an educator. She's a teacher. So I basically lived like a really good life my whole life coming up. Never even got one whooping in my whole entire life. But I just think, I really don't know, but what I really believe is that I just felt entitled. Like, everything that I wanted, I was entitled to have. And if I wasn't able to afford it, I was going to get it some type of way. Yeah. Exactly. And it started when I was like 16 years old. I was committing crimes at 16. I went to the California Youth Authority at 16 years old. So it didn't happen when I was an adult. It started when I was a youth and carried into my adulthood.
That's powerful. That's powerful. And then, and to me, and we all, in the room have, been in that space where we've been on one side of the game. And then we got older, things happened, and we transferred that energy over, and we're all doing something positive now. And so we're going to come back to you to get some more of that. That was some powerful stuff. Thanks for sharing that. My man Pipe, what's going on, man? Tell us a little bit about what you got going. You got a couple of things always brewing on the stove. So what's the latest?
A great story too.
One hell of a story.
I'm a whole lot of things, but I would say that the most powerful thing I am is an artist. I got my start in the arts and music, rapping, and I had a band, Flipside, still do. We got signed to Interscope Records in 2004, and we toured till about 2009. With Snoop and The Game and Black Eyed Peas, and saw a whole lot of countries, and it was beautiful, man, because the music meant something. It was from the heart. My homeboy Steve, the band was representative of America. My homeboy Steve is a white boy from Alabama playing guitar, came out with the Coast Guard. My partner Dave grew up in Richmond. He from Chile,
right?
But we didn't see nothing wrong with it. We from the Bay Area, so
right.
We was able to take that all over the world, and we had the anthem for the Winter Olympics and the Summer Olympics, and they was licensing our stuff on ESPN, but we just started having internal strife.
Right.
And, the record company couldn't quite figure us out because even though that's what the Bay Area is, America ain't that. America is largely segregated. So they're like, how we going to break them? And then, there was all type of other stuff going on in the band, man. Different cats was on some substance abuse stuff. It was mental illness stuff. We was on like 3 different pages, man, but we had real fans. We had
for sure
tattooing their bodies with our lyrics.
Right.
Like, professional soccer players in Germany.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah,
man.
selling out huge arenas.
Yeah. So, but the power started to slip away from us because internally we weren't strong. So we started to lose power, man. We started kind of getting pushed around by the industry a little bit. And it hurt because our music meant something at first, and then it started to not mean anything.
Right.
And to be on the cusp, to be on Jay Leno, the day after the Rose Bowl with Vince Young, and then you see it slipping, and then in the midst of all that, my little brother Rick Lav, he died in a motorcycle accident.
Right.